What's up, YouTube? Welcome to more trades. This is going to be an update on Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin CME's futures chart. On this chart, we find what is called CME gaps as a result of the markets being closed on the weekend. Then when it opens, we see a gap up or a gap down. In the chart, in the immediate vicinity, we have a gap over here that could take us up to the 28,740 to the upside, and we have another gap to the downside that could take us down to 19, to be exact, to the 19,995. We've seen these gaps being filled on our way down in this bear market, and we still have a gap down at around, I believe, the 12K zone. But however, what I'm trying to say is that, are we going to fill the CME gap first to the upside? Are we coming down? These gaps don't need to be filled, but they are filled more often than not. If we take a trend-based fib on this move from the low, and I would go to the perpetual futures chart because that's what we trade. If you go from the low over here and we measure this move and say this was our 1 and this was our 2, we had a very extended wave 3 to the upside. That took us all the way up here. This was our wave 3 essentially. It went above the 2.414 extension, and it was very close to the 2.618. Probably in other charts it has touched it. Now measuring that, and I want to know, where is this gonna end? I mean, if you've been following me, then you would know that I was saying that we are coming down in the wave 4 zone, which we did, and we bounced off it. Now, the other logical thing is that we're going up in a wave 5. Our wave 5 can be measured by taking the length of wave 1 and putting it at the bottom of the wave 4, at the peak of the wave 4 over here at this point. And we get a wave 5 projection of anywhere between the 1-to-1 and the 1.618. We hit the 1-to-1. We are at the 1-to-1 now. The 1.618 can take us all the way to 26,119. I showed you the projection on, the 1-to-1 takes us to the 24,536, and the 1.618 takes us all the way to the 26,513. This is using wave 1. You can do it with using wave 3, and we found that the area of intersection, because in wave 3 you measure it slightly differently, they intersect at the 26K zone. The 26K zone, we don't have the CME gap. The CME gap starts at around the that will be our initial gap over here at around the 2019 over here, 27,365. That's the beginning of the gap. And then we also have another gap to the upside. So in my view, the next gap is at around 34,500. In my view, if we are able to break above the 25.2 high that we had over here, the previous high that we put, then if we can break this peak 25.2, then it only makes sense to come and fill this insufficiency all the way, possibly even to the 28K zone. So we need to be open-minded for that. And even if we do that, I can tell you that we are going to have a fairly nice drop to the downside after that. So if you missed out on this pump, not really much reason to FOMO in, because you will get another chance. So say we go all the way up to 25.2 today, with the numbers coming out, the unemployment and I believe the PPI or core manufacturing index or something like that. There are some numbers coming out, including the unemployment change, which do affect the market usually. Now, if you say you went all the way and you top up at 25.2, I'll tell you then, okay, your wave 5 is done for this entire move up, and you're going to come down in a possible. You could also have another 4 and a 5, or this move could be done and we're coming down in a wave 2. Now for coming down in a wave 2, our zone to watch, obviously this box I have here needs to change because we moved further up. So this box would, for now, supposed to come to between the 0.5 and the 0.786. This will be my new wave 2 zone. And the target for this will be anywhere between the 20,200 and the 17,466. That is a very realistic target for wave 2. However, with this extended move up, we sometimes find very shallow retracements, like when Bitcoin was doing this. When it started doing this over here, we had a shallow retracement, and up here we were looking for the deeper one. We didn't get it until we extended further, then we came down. Now, going back to the hourly and breaking it down, we can see that we clearly, where's our wave 4? Yeah, we need to zoom out. This is our wave 4 zone over here. We hit it and we started moving up. Now moving out here, we had a 1-2, a possibly another 1-2. And this move up had the third wave. So you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. And in the fifth wave, you have a 1, 2, 3, and possibly a 4. Now, if you want to measure it and see if the 4 has fulfilled the requirement, you take it from the bottom of the 3 to the peak of the 3, and you barely hit the 0.236. You didn't even get there. So it's possible to come down even as low as 23,777 and still be a valid move up and continue higher in a fifth. And that may complete this third wave up, and we might have another fourth and a fifth. Whatever the case is, to keep it simple, if you break the 25,200, you could possibly even go as high as 26, 27, 28Ks, very realistic. And if you do that, if you go as high as the 28K, let me just get rid of everything in this chart so we have a clear sense. Remember the target I gave you around the 26K? I want to show you something on the weekly chart. The 26K zone. I have to go to this chart, the Bitstamp chart, because we have more data on the Bitstamp chart and I can see the EMAs on the weekly chart. If we get up to the 25K or 25,449, we have the 200 EMA coming and the 55 EMA. And looking on another indicator to see the 50 EMA, I am hitting the 50 EMA on the weekly. Essentially, that will be resistance. 200 EMA on the weekly and 50 EMA on the weekly. Ever since Bitcoin was in a bull run, all this way down, and then we broke under it, now we're back testing it. Looking at history, when we back tested it over here, it was close to the time we broke out of it. So that's something to consider. Let's look at the times where we dropped under it and back tested it. We only had once, so we don't have much data to build our assumptions on. And that is on the weekly. Now on the monthly, I'm trying to find confluence with the 26K zone or 28, 27. Yeah, maybe I have this 13 EMA over here at around 25.9 on the monthly, nothing much. And let's go back to the chart. Where's the Bitstamp chart? And we have we are in this Fibonacci channel. We're hitting the 50 EMA on the weekly, and our next target on this channel for the upside is around 26, 27K. So that could be our next resistance. We have the 800 EMA on the daily, at around 27,500. So that is a zone we should be watching for. We also have a different indicator that I use, that I've been using in this bear market, and we saw things that were happening that have never happened before in the charts, like being below the 300 or 400 EMAs on the weekly time frame. Bitcoin has never done it before. I mean, even the times it's done it differently. It never opened and closed candles below it. Now I want to get the indicators, but for some reason I'm unable. I wanted to pull some EMAs over here. I wanted to also let you know that we have Fibonacci time coming on the 18th of February. That will be tomorrow. So yeah, the 18th of February. We have the 2.618. But however, I was looking at the chart and I didn't find it having much of an effect previously in the past. But it's something to consider because Fibonacci time zones are what you call it. They can affect price action. They just act as pivot points, and we could either pump or dump. I know that's not very helpful, but that's how the markets react. It's always either a pump or a dump. Nothing is certain. You just have to be ready to play the probabilities. When something happens, you need to have a plan of what you're going to do about it. Okay, that took forever. Now let's look at the Kima. I like to pull up the Kima because the Kima has several EMAs that I like to use. And this is my Kima indicator, and I go to the weekly. Let's pull up the weekly. And you can see on the weekly, we have essentially the important ones for me. On the weekly, we're hitting the green and we have the blue above us. So the green and the blue would be the 50 and the 100. So we're hitting the 50 EMA, that we already know. We got out of the danger zone where we were below the 300 and 400. I believe we're above them now. So if we shut off all the other ones and we just open leave the 300 and 400 over there in the chart, and let's see where are the 300. We won't see it on this chart obviously because not enough data, but if we go here, we are having blue skies ahead. Possibly we have got above the 300 and 400 EMAs. We have the 300, which is the 300 is in bright orange and the 400 is slightly darker below. So we have support over there, which was significant resistance at 21.2 at the moment, 21,170. As you can see, it was big resistance. This is a weekly chart. So it might play a role over here. It became support. It played a short role, pulled us up to exactly where we are, above the 300, 25.2 is just over there, and we might be tanking down or we may continue. And coincidentally, we were at this gray Fibonacci channel, and now we're again getting close to the gray one, very much similar. So let's see what happens with that. However, this move up, if you look at it even on the 4-hourly, you can see it's a volume divergent move at the moment. We're moving up with declination of volume, one bar, 2, 3, 4. So that's about 20 hours of declining volume. But this formation over here that you see is sort of a tightening contraction pattern that may lead to an explosive move, could be to the upside. Yeah, those are the targets. I wanted to show you something on the regular Bitcoin, the perpetual chart targets. If you didn't watch my movie 8 days ago, I said Bitcoin 25K possible. That was a thumbnail. You should watch it. 8 days ago, I posted it and I was telling you the possible targets and what I'm looking at. And this is what happens. I predicted it 8 days before it happened. Now, this green line over here is a trend line that comes from underneath here, down here. This wick, this was 13th October wick down. And I drew a trend line forming a bear flag, and we broke down, and now we may go up and retest it. If we go up, then that will be at around, if this candle goes up, it will be at 29,000. Now that would take us to recover that CME gap. I'm really looking forward to this pump because I would love for prices to go up only to be able to fade the rallies. The overall sentiment in the market is like muted to the Fed's responses to inflation, all that. You can see the Nasdaq, the Dow Jones are down for the day. Bitcoin is still up for the day. The DXY is also down for the day. So there is some discrepancy in the market. Things are not moving in sync. The correlation is kind of off. The S&P 500 mini futures is in red as well, but this is all pre-market. We're having numbers coming out in a minute, so you might see a reaction. And the ES minis, the S&P 500 minis is still above that trend line. It didn't break below, so that's a positive indication. The VIX, however, dropped, so that's also a positive indication. Overall market conditions are looking like we could push to the upside. I would advise you to watch that video that I posted 8 days ago. And if you are in trades that are stuck in the negative and you're unable to come out, there are 2 videos that I have. They are in my playlist, Traders for Beginners, and the titles are like how to get out of, how to scale out of losing trades. I explain 2 different strategies that you could use that will really help you and give you an edge in case you are in a bad position in your trades. Okay, I think the numbers are supposed to be out now. I can't check them while I'm doing this video, but I want to see if the market's reacting in any way. Okay, nothing much over here. I mean, even on the, it's a very strange reaction. Even, let's look at the DXY. Oh yeah, the DXY this is the 1 minute chart, mind you. So we're having some movement on the DXY, pulling back. So whatever the case is, I would be, okay, that's the Nasdaq on the 15 minute. I would really be watching the, I would really be watching the targets that I gave you if we can get there if we're not topped out. If we are topped out, then I would expect us to come down as low as maybe 23,400 or even lower for that wave retracement. And we watch how does it come down. Does it come down in strong volume or does it come down in a corrective manner? Okay, that's all for now. Hope you liked the update. If you did, smash the likes, subscribe to the channel and join the free Discord. And if you really like to support the channel, then a link is available in the video description and the channel description. More trades.